with HP. Today's webinar is brought to you by HP Software. Next couple of slides, Ronan. And I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Bob Cruz. I'll be hosting and moderating today's webinar. I'm actually a Vivit Florida chapter leader. Appreciate the opportunity to do this. I'm president of Checkpoint Technologies. We're an HP partner specializing in the application delivery products. So next slide, Ronan. And today's speakers are Ronan Aseo. He's the HP Agile Manager Functional Architect with HP Software. Ronan is a veteran in the industry of enterprise software and mobile application development and has over 20 years of experience in software development, development management, and program management. He's an expert in Agile and Scaled Agile methodologies, and he's also a member and active contributor to several Agile forums across HP. Ronan is, as I mentioned, the functional architect for Agile Manager at HP Software, as well as a Scaled Agile Framework certified practitioner. And we also have Ty Davis. Ty has great experience in technology trends, working with various strategy, product marketing roles across Agile and application lifecycle management. He's currently the product marketing manager for Agile Manager at HP Software and a certified Scrum Master. And we also have Victoria Vonigescu. She started out as an electrical engineer, but switched to software development early in her career, working on database, networking, and real-time operating systems applications. Victoria joined HP in 2004 and started practicing Agile in 2007, so she has some great experience. Victoria has implemented Agile at large scale in HP's project and portfolio management team as Scrum of Scrums and QA Director. She is currently the product manager for HP Agile Manager and is a certified Scrum Master, very passionate about Agile culture and scaling Agile to the enterprise. Next slide. So just a few housekeeping items. Today's live session is intended for all Vivit members. The recording will be posted in the webinar section on the Vivit website, visible for all members. Additionally, today's slide deck and webinar recording will be made available to you. We will send you the link via email once they are posted to the Vivit website. If you have questions as we go along, please type and send them in using the questions pane in the webinar control panel. So you'll see on your screen right now a picture of the GoToWebinar control panel that usually appears in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. To submit a question, make sure the questions pane is expanded and type in your question and click on send. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to actually kick it off, if I'm not mistaken, with a polling question. So polling question number 1, are you familiar with the principles of the Scaled Agile Framework, known with the acronym as SAFE? Please select 1. I am new to SAFE. I have heard about SAFE and want to learn more about it. I am a SAFE Agilist for SPC. And we'll give you just a few seconds. These are some great questions. Ronan, Ty, and Victoria. And I'm going to take this opportunity. I know Ty is online. He's going to be kicking it off. Give you a few more seconds to answer the question here.
Hi, everyone. How you doing? My name is Ty Davis. Thanks for that introduction. Our purpose today is to share with you some insights with respect to Agile development and how to scale it out into a larger enterprise, and what does that mean to dev, testing, and quality organizations. We are going to share with you some business drivers that are driving organizations to scale Agile, things that you can be seeing in your own organization, and share with you how HP Agile Manager is helping organizations scale to Agile. We will drill down specifically into some best practices around Agile Manager and some things you and your team should be thinking about as you prepare to participate in the Scaled Agile effort.
And Ty, I've got some great poll results here. So in regard to the question, are you familiar with the principles of the Scaled Agile Framework? 38% of our attendees are new to Scaled Agile Framework. 48% have heard about Scaled Agile Framework and they want to learn more about it. Obviously, that's a good thing. And 15% are a Scaled Agile Framework Agilist or SPC.
Well, good. Glad
Fantastic.
to see these results, and hopefully we can help answer some of the questions that they may have with this webinar. So go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay, Ronan, go ahead and move on to changing world for applications. One more. One more slide. There we go. So it's interesting today when you look at the application space. I'm sure many of you are living this day in and day out in your respective industry. Whether you're in a commercial organization, transportation, healthcare, government organization, we're seeing relentless pressure for new styles of applications that engage users such as mobile apps, social apps, interactive mashups from APIs that are out on the internet. But a very strong demand is needed for these types of applications that align to the user, keep up the user preference and needs, and so in essence change frequently and provide a delightful user experience. On the mobility side, we're seeing hundreds of new styles and mobile applications and type of devices being added every month. We have a vast number of mobile devices connected, and by 2020, we think there will be over 100 billion. When we think about application architecture, we have seen a very fast build-up to composite application styles. There are no longer silos. They are made of components that are made to come together to meet a business process or customer needs. And we are seeing unrelenting demand and speed as business users are expecting us to deliver new capabilities on a weekly basis. By 2020, we think it could be a couple times a week. That's the average release cadence for an application. Then we see the influence of things like cloud and the API economy, and all these are changing the experience for those that develop apps, test apps, and those responsible for delivery. And that's all with you. Go ahead, next slide. So scaling Agile is a journey. It requires not only engineering new processes and leveraging tools and software, but also aligning your organization. Do you have silos between your QA organizations, your Agile dev teams, your business analyst teams, and your project and portfolio teams that are setting strategy? You need to be breaking down these silos between the portfolio planning organizations, those that are responsible for release trains and projects, and your individual Agile dev teams to ensure that quality is infused every step of the way. The aim and goal of SAFE is to break down silos, support with process, visibility, software, and alignment on common goals. When you think about a roadmap to get your team effectively scaling Agile and maintaining quality, you want to equip your individual teams for success and give them an environment that enables them to develop and test and give them complete visibility against the user stories and the goals of the particular sprint. Then roll those up to the larger enterprise release and align that portfolio as well. So you're equipping your team for success, but you're also enabling scaled Agile to the enterprise, and ultimately you're going to connect those dots in the operation. Go ahead and stay on this slide. So it starts with a team, and you have your Agile teams that are developing features against user stories. And one thing that is critical to you and critical to all of us is that testing needs to be sitting alongside that development team. We need to ensure that to be Agile, we're not just delivering, but we're delivering with high quality. We don't want to fall into the trap of doing something that we call scrum or fall or water scrum fall, where your dev teams are developing iteratively, but then you have to throw it over to the testing team to do all the testing. And if they haven't been involved side by side, it's a hurry up and wait scenario. So you want to be bringing your testers in as part of your dev teams and your Agile features teams. You want to give them an environment where they can collaborate together. Testers can see the changes that are being made to the code in real time, and developing test cases and automations alongside that. And that continuous integration processes can be applied so that every time you check in and create a new build, you can run test cases against that. Then being able to give visibility to your release train teams, those that are looking bringing multiple outputs from the Agile feature teams together to create an Agile release, which basically delivers against the business requirement. They need to have that visibility as well. And so there's those interlock points between the Agile feature team and the release team. They need visibility how this is all coming together, and you also apply integration testing at that point. At the end of the day, you want to keep track of your different release teams' progress and what they're doing in line with your portfolio. So as your business strategies evolve, you're able to instantly reflect that across your enterprise release teams and your Agile feature team. Visibility across from the portfolio to the project, the releases, and Agile features is key. And next slide. The Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, is a knowledge base for implementing Agile practices at enterprise scale. Its primary user interface is a big picture graphic which highlights the individual roles, teams, activities, and artifacts necessary to scale Agile from team to the enterprise level. The framework describes 3 levels of scale: team, program, and portfolio. Each of these scales are the essential Agile elements of value, which is requirements backlog, team, from the development team through portfolio, and time box, iteration, PI, and budget cycle. Go to the next slide. So this is a very simple architecture of the HP software that enables Scaled Agile. It's really multiple components that come together, and what we have done is created the integration point so that you can get the visibility between the Agile teams, the enterprise releases, and the project and portfolio. So you see that at the program and team level, that is Agile Manager. That's our purpose-built Agile solution that's empowering those Agile teams, developers, and testers developing side-by-side to deliver the features against the user stories. At the program level, we can synchronize that with ALM, application lifecycle management tools that are used widely in the industry, such as HP ALM, where you are doing your larger business requirements, you're managing your enterprise releases, and have those Agile teams come together. Also managing all the quality requirements, the test planning, test lab, test execution. We're able to keep those things coordinated and together. And then we can integrate it with PPM, which takes it up to the business level. You can also add a couple things to the equation, such as integration and service management, so defects and issues are found in production. They can be instantly rolled back in the backlog and potentially prioritized into the next sprint. At the portfolio level, our HP approach is really a comprehensive approach to manage multiple types of projects within an organization, whether it be traditional project management, Agile, or some other methodology using a combination of Agile Manager and PPM. With PPM, you still drive business objectives and you build your proposals and fund projects, but you still need to understand project costs and project health, also that we do spend money with resources and budget allocations, and bringing that all together into a single picture is really the goal between the PPM and AGM integration. And from here, I think we are going to go into another poll question.
Great. So polling question number 2, have you heard of HP Agile Manager? So please select 1, yes and currently an Agile Manager user, yes but not currently an Agile Manager user, or no.
Okay, hi Bob. So this is Ronen here. Thank you, Ty, for the introduction. As we wait for the poll results, I'm going to provide a brief overview of Agile Manager and our journey to date. Agile Manager is relatively a young product that's part of HP software portfolio. The product has been GA'd 2 years ago. We have a delivery model of SaaS as a SaaS solution and also as an on-prem solution for customers who require software to be installed within their own premise. We as a team are working pretty much in Agile and are using Agile Manager from its early alpha days. And we've seen ever since then a very nice adoption of Agile Manager within HP. Within HP software as a whole, there is a big wave of adopting SAFe, and HP software, one of the goals of many teams in HP software is to adopt SAFe, and there is we are talking about a population of over 3,000 developers who are about to go on that journey, being SAFe certified, some being SAFe certified in order to be the ambassadors of that journey within HP. Do we have the results yet, Bob?
We do, Ronan, we do. So in regard to the question, have you heard of HP Agile Manager? 27% of today's attendees replied yes and currently an Agile Manager user. 50% yes, but not currently an Agile Manager user. And 23% responded as no. So it sounds like you definitely will be providing some valuable insight today, Ronan.
Great. So these are nice numbers. I'm happy to hear that there is a wide range of people on this call that are familiar with the tool. In this session, let me just click through. So in today's session, which will be based on a live demo of the product, so crossing my fingers here, I'm going to focus on functionalities in Agile Manager to support Agile at scale, and the latest feature set that we introduced to be in alignment with the Scaled Agile Framework guidelines. For those of you who are not familiar with the tool, and there's a nice number here, I'm going to provide a very short overview. An additional material can be found on the HP Manager website, other webinars introducing the tool, support videos, and so on. And you can also try the product yourself by registering to a 30-day free trial. So the key capabilities of Agile Manager as a project management tools are Agile release and team management. We support the main methodologies for Agile today, whether they are Scrum, Kanban, or hybrid approaches, to manage your release backlog and your team backlog. We provide a tool for product backlog management, for definition, sizing, estimation, ranking, and planning your features and backlog items. There is a dedicated module for defect management to be used for managing defects across releases. And one of our key differentiators, the way we see it, is our IDE integrations. We have IDE plugins for Eclipse, for Visual Studio at IntelliJ, and that enables the developer to continue work in its own development environment without using external tools. So a developer can see the user stories and tasks that are part of its sprint backlog within its developer environment and check in code against these user stories and tasks. This information is later analyzed as part of our development analytics capabilities, also called ALI, Application Lifecycle Intelligence. And for those of you who are familiar with ALM, these are similar capabilities. So ALI and the integration with development tools comes with out-of-the-box integration possibilities with many development environments, SCM servers such as Git and TFS, build servers such as Jenkins and Hudson, and so on. And we can connect to these tools and provide the user with insights and traceability of the quality of the product. And this is really aligns with the core values of SAFe, of having one of the four qualities of values of SAFe, which quality and having your product code shippable at any point in time, or at least close to that, if we are talking about the reality. So by integration with those tools, we can provide you additional reporting on top of the basic reporting for release burn down, velocity, and so on the quality of your builds, which stories were added to the builds, and so forth. As I said earlier, the product today, which originally started as a Scrum-oriented, supports Kanban. We have a storyboard which is fully configurable in terms of the lanes, the statuses, definition of WIP limit, cycle time, and so on. We have a dedicated model for sprint closure that allows you to do the retrospective with your team. And we support Scrum of Scrum. We have a planning board that allows you to plan items for the entire release to your teams as the Scrum of Scrum planning board. So implementing SAFe with Agile Manager 2.1, which is the latest version that is out there. So how do you manage a portfolio of products or services using Agile Manager? The first concept I would like to discuss are workspaces in Agile Manager. So what is a workspace? A workspace is a container for service, products, IT projects, programs that share the same release train, which means that share programs that have the same release cadence. One of the basic principles of SAFe is lean thinking, and it calls to organize your programs and teams based on a value stream. To organize your teams based on processes that provide continuous flows of values to the business, to the end user, or the customer. So within a workspace, you can host a release train or a SAFe program, or several release trains actually that are tightly coupled, and you want to manage them in the same workspace to track dependencies and so on. So on a single Agile Manager site or tenant, you can host multiple workspaces and have full data segregation between workspaces, assign users and roles to specific workspaces, and only they have access to these workspaces. There are templates and permissions that are workspace-based, and it allows you to configure them based on your program definition. Within a workspace, we have an entity that is called application. An application represents separate components developed by teams, independent or composite. Using applications, you can manage several components developed by team, or even several projects that are being developed on the same release cadence within a workspace. So let's say you have a product that is delivered that is based on several components, each component being developed by several teams, but they are all running on the same release cadence, and in accordance to SAFe, it would be beneficiary for you to manage them under the same program. You can manage these and track work that is being performed by several components, and also see how feature is being developed by several components and track it. And we will see it during the demo. So just to summarize, and for you are familiar with the overall picture of SAFe. So how do you manage an entire portfolio using an Agile Manager tenant? So at the portfolio level, you are able to create several workspaces, which can map to a SAFe program, or again, several programs within a certain workspace, if that makes sense to you. Under a workspace, you can do a second level of segregation to identify components or different project teams using the application entity. And within these programs, you manage your business features, your architectural features, and the team backlog. And we will see it in the demo. And I'm running quickly, so we have enough time to see also the product in action. If you want to support your entire line of business portfolio, you can also connect with HP PPM, and that enables you to manage your portfolio not only of Agile projects, but also of waterfall projects that are still being managed within your organization. In that respect, HP PPM connects with Agile Manager, collects data related to portfolio management from Agile Manager, and can also connect to other tools such as HPLM, where maybe you manage your waterfall project, and get an overall glimpse on what is going on with your entire portfolio, whether it's waterfall or Agile. So I'll now go into the product demo. Okay, so just one more thing before we go to the product demo. So in the demo, again, I'm going to focus today. It's not an overall demo of the product. There are a lot of functionalities there. I'm going to focus on how do you create your Agile release trains, how do you manage workspace and feature teams, how do you prioritize your product backlog using some of the safe concepts, how do you do release planning, and how do you do release tracking. More project called Online Media Store. This is not a real project that or product that HP is developing. Think about HP Cloud Solution. We have several lines of business. One of them is an HP Online Media line of business that develops several products. One of them may be HP TV, HP Radio. And today we are going to focus on an HP Media Store, which is a store for an online store for purchasing or rental of movies, audiobooks, and so on. So let's go to the demo. Okay. So I'm now in Agile Manager. This is the welcome screen. And let's go into the product backlog. And we are now developing, again, the HP Online Media Store service. We already had a release that is over, which in SAFe is one of the terminologies used there is program increments. So program increment 1 is done. And there's the second release of the Media Store product, which is 4 days left before its completion. And I can see on the right-hand side what is the status there. That there are 37 remaining story points to develop, and there are actually 90. In terms of capacity, I have 90 story points left, so I can say that I am maybe I will probably be able to complete this release on time. But this is not what we want to do now. We want to plan our next release. So I'll go into configuration, and let's configure together an Agile release. So I'm going to configure a Media Store PI 3, Program Increment 3. I'm going to set the date for that release to December 17 till let's make it a 2 months release. We'll set it to February 16th. And I'm going to set its sprint duration for every 2 weeks. So that's about it. Now I created the release. And with the dates that I've specified, and automatically 5 sprints, each one of them, its length is 2 weeks, was created. I can go and also rename the sprint if that makes sense to me. And one of the things that SAFe guidelines to do is not to use the last sprint of the PI, of the program increment, or of the release for planning purposes. Use it for innovation and planning. So I'm going to rename it innovation and planning. So I know I don't want to use that to plan content in that sprint. And in the innovation and planning sprint, the notion is that it's time for some buffers of leftovers, time for planning your next release, and also times for development team to think of innovative ideas and develop items which are that they do not have time to do so during the working sprints, I would say. Now I created the release. Let's just get rid of just a second. Get rid of this window. Okay. So I created the release. I created the team. I created the sprint, and now I'm going to add teams to the release. In Agile Manager, we recently introduced the notion of a workspace team. A workspace team is a team that lives beyond the scope of the release. So this can be either a component team or an organization team that always that can support your release, and you can assign them to a particular release. In this case, I'm going to assign all the teams to be part of this release. Now that I configured teams that are working within my release, I can go ahead and plan their velocity for a particular release. So I'm now in the blue team. I can go and look and set the expected velocity of the last sprint to 0 because I don't want this to be calculated in the overall capacity of the release. And I can also go and look on how the team performed in previous releases, and based on the historical information, analyze that and provide the expected velocity of the team per release. So I created so I set the velocity of the blue team, and we're pretty much done. Let's go back to the product backlog, and now I can see on the right-hand side that MediaStore PI3 was created, and I have an estimated capacity of 650 points for that release, and that is an aggregation of all the team's capacity per sprint as I defined. One important thing that I forgot to mention is that I am able also to define, and this is very important when working in scale, what is the definition of done of a backlog item. You have several teams working. Each one may have its own concept of what is the definition of done, and it's very important that teams are aligned and are in sync on what is the done of an item. So we have a quality release that is aligned across teams. So in Agile Manager, you can configure what is the definition of done. Can you close this? Can you set a backlog item to done when there are open defects, whether there is an acceptance test that's not have passed, and also utilizing the connections we have with dev tools, you can also uplift it to support information that comes from the build servers and from the tests. So I can decide that I'm not willing to set a backlog item to done unless I have a complete code coverage. And this will be enforced by the product afterwards. So if a team member tries to set an item to done, the system will let him know you cannot do that because it's not aligned with the release quality criteria. So I'll go back to so I'll go back and I define my release, and now I want to plan my next release. One of the concepts of SAFe is that at the program level, you would like to plan features for a particular release. So I already have some features here. I'm going to add another feature just for the sake of the demo. And there is a special holiday promotion that I want to run. And I'm going to assign it to the billing theme. And this feature is actually related to several major components of my application. I want it to be available in my mobile application. It requires some work in the website core. I don't think it requires work on website services, so I'll keep it blank for now. And I can provide an initial estimate for that feature. So let's give it 15. going to switch to planning view. It's a view that I've created. It's not a view that comes out of the box, but basically output fields that I need to do planning. So what do I see in the planning view? And another thing that I've done is I filtered out fields which are already done in previous releases. So I'm now looking at the planning view, and I can see the features that are not developed. I see the theme of the feature, the name. I can provide an initial estimate if I don't know the estimate, and it's in a preliminary stage, so I can provide an initial estimate in t-shirt size. And there is the feature story points that I assigned for that feature, So how do I prioritize feature? Well, there are a lot of ways to prioritize features, and one of the main concepts that SAFe introducing is prioritizing using weighted shortest job first. And that's a very interesting model that was originally introduced by Reinhold, and that allows you to prioritize your features based on the economics of the product development flow based on agreed upon formula. And what is the formula? The formula states that you should first calculate the cost of delay of developing that feature. The cost of delay is based on 3 parameters. The first parameter is the business value. What is the value this feature will provide to your customers? What is the revenue impact? What happens if you don't provide this feature? What is the value in terms of a business value or a user value? The second value for cost of delay is the time criticality. How important is that I develop it now? I mean, would it be okay if I develop this feature later, or whether the time criticality is in essence in receiving customer satisfaction? And this applies also to features which are not business-oriented, which are more architecture-oriented. Maybe it's a performance issue that I need to solve, and there's a time criticality there. The third item is the risk reduction or opportunity enabled, which typically applies more to architectural type of features. I mean, what is the risk reduction of a future that I will have if I develop this feature? I mean, if I go and need to implement an architectural change, will that prevent me from crashing in the future? Will that enable future features that I want to develop? Maybe I want to start investing in this item now, because this will provide an opportunity enablement to create new business values in the future based on a new feature set. So these three parameters for user or business value, time criticality, and risk reduction form the cost of delay of a feature. Once you take these 3 parameters and sum it up, you can divide it by the estimated job size, the duration that you foresee for that feature. That could be either in ideal days, in story points, and any number that makes sense to you to work with. So let's do an exercise prioritizing features for the next release using the weighted shortest job functionality, prioritization. So I already preset some values here, and I'm going to set the values of the new features we just enter for business special holiday promotion. So this is quite an important feature, because we want to promote the product in the holidays. And we are using a Fibonacci scale. This is the approach we chose to take, which is also recommended by SAFe. So I'm going to set its business value for 13. Time criticality. It's very important that this feature goes out on time, because otherwise we miss the holidays. And as far as the risk reduction or opportunity enablement, well, it's a one-time thing. I'm going to set it to 2. And again, this decision is not usually not taken just by me as a product owner. It's probably taken by product owner and a system architect and the team that steers the product together. What's important to say is that although I already have values, predefined values, not predefined, but values that I've set before for other features, these needs to be reconsidered every time you plan a new release. Because something that may seem to be important 6 months ago for a business value perspective may not be that important today. So I may want to change that. And the other way around, maybe during the time I discover the time criticality is an issue for a specific feature and I want to raise that in that particular feature. Now what Agile Manager allows you, it's automatically calculates the value of cost of delay, which is the sum of business value, time criticality, and risk reduction factors, and also the overall score, which is based on dividing this by the job size. So let's put a job size of 15 story points for this feature. And now I have a list of features that I can consider planning for my release. And I want to prioritize them. So it really depends on how you work. I mean, some teams may want to prioritize only by cost of delay. So we'll sort them by cost of delay, but the other way around. And what I see is that currently it seems like by cost of delay of the updating my Java framework is higher than the special holiday promotions. Probably I want to pick these features first. What's interesting is also to consider sorting by the score, the overall score of the weighted sorted job first parameter, because that also includes the job size. How long will it take you to implement? And what we see now is that the rank is a bit different. We see that the special holiday permission is actually the top item I should develop because I need it now, and it provides the overall value considering the time it's going to take me is much higher than the rest of the features. So I want to plan it for the next release, and I want to plan the other features as well for the next release. And I want to show you another features that can be done with the latest implementation of Agile Manager. I can see that this is a very important, excuse me?
Just when you have a chance, I have a couple of great questions here.
Okay, so I'm going to finish my sentence and then we'll pause for some questions.
Perfect.
So I can see that the special holiday promotion is very important, and time criticality is an essence. Maybe I need to provide it in the first 2 sprints. So what I can do, and Agile Manager supports it, is create a feature team that to develop this feature only. So I'll go into my release, and there is the workspace team that I assigned for that release. And I can create an ad hoc feature team. I'll call it the holiday team. And provide the default sprint velocity for that team. And in that team, I can assign members from several teams. Each one has its own speciality or experience that will help me deliver that feature fast. So I can assign Alex because I know he knows the server code, and I can assign Paul, and I can assign Selena to that team. And this team will be created for this release only to develop this feature. And it will be a team of specialized people that will develop this feature fast and with all the resources in one team. If these are shared resources, then Alex, for example, may only work 3 hours a day in that particular team because he works in other teams as well. And I will now pause for questions as you suggested, Bob.
Sure. So Ronan, one question we have is, can we use a workspace as a project host by client, such as to have an agile site for each client, and for each client we would have workspaces for each product and deliverable?
So if by the question you mean using several customers on the same site, this is doable, assuming you are, again, you can assign certain users to a particular workspace, but that means that you will have to have one site admin that has access to everything, and to make sure that these settings are correct, but it can be done. Yeah.
Fantastic. Another great question. Is there a way to import the data from JIRA into Agile Manager? So data migration from JIRA to Agile Manager if we are switching from JIRA to Agile Manager.
Okay, so I will answer it in two parts. So the first part is that today you have the option to import your backlog from Excel. So assuming you can export, and I believe you can, export information from JIRA to Excel or a CSV file, you can later import that. There is an import backlog function that allows you to import that. And once you, I'm going to briefly show it. So once you import that, it will also import your user stories, your features. It will create the features and themes you imported. We provide a template that enables you to do a faster migration and do the field mapping for such. In the roadmap, we will probably support a connection with JIRA. So it is something that we are considering. I cannot commit on time and dates, but we are looking into that. But today you can do that, and we have customers who migrated from JIRA and other tools just by using the import from Excel.
Great. Would you like a couple more questions, Ronan? Do you have time?
I see that we are almost at the top of the hour, so I wanted to just show a bit on how we track features, track our releases, and then if we have time, I will be happy to take more questions.
Fantastic. All right, Ronan.
So we did the planning. Actually, we did not do planning. So let's see how you do planning in Agile Manager. So we have the ranked features, and in order to assign them to the release, you simply drag it to the release bucket. The system identifies that you already have stories. You already broken those features to user stories. So you can also assign these user stories to the release. And you can also define this feature as scoped, because you scoped it for the release. And once I assign the features to the release bucket fills in with the information on the planned features and the currently assigned user stories for that release. Now I'll go very quickly into tracking, as we don't have much time. So Agile Manager comes with a set of very wide reporting capabilities. We come up with a wide range of widgets for release burn down, velocity, team workload, and so on. I'm going to focus on specific widgets which are related to feature planning and to some of the concepts in SAFe. So the first widget is the planned story points versus actual story points. So I can see in this particular release the features that were planned to the release and what is their status. The lower bar, by the way, the lower bar means what I originally estimated the feature will take, and the upper bar is an aggregated number of the user stories, the backlog items that are part of that feature in the release. This is one thing that I can look at as I'm tracking my release from a feature perspective. Another widget is the status of the feature. So once the feature has been accepted, I can set its status to accepted, and there's a list of statuses for the feature lifecycle that I can track. I can track my release based on the type of features that I'm currently managing in the release. There are two types that we support today, which are aligned with the SAFe guidelines, business type of feature and architectural type of feature. You can track what is your investment in these two types of features. I'm also seeing a release burn down here. Doesn't look very good from a release perspective. And what additional widget that we have is also tracking on the component level. So I can see within this application, the online media store, what is happening with items that relate to the mobile app, to the website core features, and to the website services. So I can see the investment that is done in every application, and also what is the status of the user stories. And I can also use configure my own widget. So I can, for example, if I want to see defects grouped by features, let's do that. So I will go and create a summary graph and select defects as the source data. I want to see all the teams, defects assigned to all teams in this release. And I want to only show new defects, closed defects I'm not going to track. And I want to group them by feature. So I'm going to group them by severity. Sorry, I want to see the feature, to see defects for features grouped by severity. Let's see that it works. Okay, so now I'm going to add it to the dashboard. And now you see in 3 clicks, I created a widget that shows me per feature in the release what are the currently open defects. So I can track my quality and my overall progress in the same dashboard. And this is just a glimpse of what you can do. So Bob, I'll turn it back to you. And if there are additional questions,
there definitely are. We've got some great questions here. Is there a best practice in defining themes and features, Ronan, and any place where you would suggest getting an example on how those should be broken out?
Well, that's a good one. I mean, there's a lot of very good articles out there, and also many on the SAFe 3.0 site for how to manage your features in a release. As far as I remember, and I hope I'm not mistaken here, I mean, you need to size features, and the basic principle is you need to size a feature that it can fit within a release, and probably again, and this is a rough number, around 10 features in a 3-month release is something that makes sense. But again, it really depends on the type of product and so on. So, by the way, if there are questions like that, feel free to use our community. We have an active community, which actually I think I should have a slide on that. So I'm going to put it. We have a very active community on our site, so you can post them and start a discussion. So that will be very interesting.
Oh,
and by the way, I know
great.
Victoria. I know Victoria is on the line. So Victoria, if you want to add more words, feel free to step in.
So no, thank you, Ronan. So as Ronan said, the best practice in defining the feature is to make it fit a release. A feature is something that you should be able to complete and deliver within a release. While themes or epics, these are interchangeable terms, will span releases, and more so, they may span various products or applications that are part of your organization. So this is the easiest way to define a feature or a theme. But again, go to the community. There are many takes on how that can be applied.
Fantastic. So another question that we have here. So obviously, Agile Manager is a SaaS solution, but it is also offered as an on-premise solution. But in regard to the SaaS solution, what are part of the SaaS licensing?
Victoria, you want to take that?
So yes, sure. So as Bob mentioned, Agile Manager is available both as a SaaS solution and as an on-premise solution. For instance, within HP software, where Agile Manager is used in conjunction with ALM to support safe practices, we are actually leveraging the SaaS solution for Agile Manager because of the advantage of getting features delivered very easily, very frequently, with no need to actually invest in upgrading on-premise solution. What we have a couple of levels of support that are available for SaaS customers. The community is actually one of the best tools that are used there for asking questions, for logging enhancement requests. All the enhancement requests that we receive via the community are in our backlog. They have clear IDs, and then they are prioritized as part of our releases. So that's definitely one level of support that's very important to our SaaS customers. Also, for the customers who request that level of support on SaaS, we provide for them tenants in what we call our pre-production farm, which is once a feature is ready to be delivered in production 2 weeks before it is being pushed into the production environment, it will be available in this farm, in pre-production, so it can be previewed by customers so they can make a decision on whether that feature is of value to them or whether they want it implemented in their environment. They can provide feedback, etc. So these are some of the extra services that are available for SaaS delivery. I hope that answers the question.
I would like to add one thing. I mean, for customers who select it, we also offer there is a group called Customer Success Group, and for customers who select to use this service, this group is in touch with the customer, can update on new functionalities, can escort the customers as he onboards to the product or as he onboards to Agile processes. So this is also a service that is being offered and being used by several of our customers.
And also, as somebody pointed out online, professional services from HP are also available to help with guidance in implementing SAFe. HP is a gold partner both from a tooling perspective, which is Agile Manager as a tool, but also from a services perspective.
Great. And Victoria and Ronan, we're pretty much out of time, but I think we were going to go a couple of minutes over. So let me ask just one more question. I believe it will be a quick one. It's a great question. Is there any chance to connect this solution to Active Directory and Microsoft Project Server?
So I'm going to take this one. In terms of Active Directory, the Agile Manager solution integrates with the large variety of LDAPs, so that is already out there and working. Now, when it comes to the Microsoft Project Server, we have not built an integration yet, but the public APIs that we will be releasing starting with January in batches will be available to implement this specific integration if the customer is interested in that integration.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. So with that, you'll notice that we still have the slide up showing some links that Ronan, Ty, and Victoria have provided as to where you can get more information. Based on the questions, I can tell all of you are very hungry for that. So feel free to make note of that. And then Ronan, if you'd go to the slide. So again, thank you very much for attending today's webinar. Please be sure to complete the short survey after the webinar ends and opt in to receive more information from HP. Just a reminder that the webinar recording and slide deck will be posted to the Vivit website. In the next few days, you'll receive an email with those links. And with that, I would like to once again thank Ron, Victoria, and Ty for a fantastic job